This is Dan Dix here reporting for Press for Truth, and we got a great show lined up for you today, my friend, so let's just jump right into it. Joining me on the line right now is Kristan Harris of the Rundown Live, a man who's found himself as a rather key and important witness right now in the Kyrle Rittenhouse trial. So, Kristan, thank you so much for, I wanted to call you Kyle there for a sec. Thanks for joining us, man. I know you just got back from the courts today. You just took the stand on Monday there to, give your account of things. I don't know if you saw, well, you did see, you were sitting in for the whole thing, but the prosecutor was just questioning Rittenhouse in a line of questioning, trying to use your footage and your words somehow against him. Check this one out, folks.
Do you think that looks like friction?
A little bit.
And you witnessed that, didn't you?
I didn't witness what Mr. Kyrle did. I didn't see that.
But you saw the reaction from the crowd, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I wasn't really paying much attention to that.
Would you agree with me that it seems that the crowd was reacting to members of your group going out in the street and trying to interfere with what was going on off your property?
I don't think they were happy about it.
And in fact, Kristan Harris, who made this video, specifically told you to stay on your property and not go out on the street and try and put out fires or interfere with any of that stuff. Just protect your property. Isn't that what he told you?
I believe so. I was just going to grab the garbage can, the dumpster that belonged to the car source that was on the car source property.
So yeah, pretty wild stuff. They're trying to use your footage against him there in a bizarre sort of way. So we'll talk a little bit about that. But before we do, maybe you could just start us off with how this has all started for you. I mean, you've been covering this thing since it began. But fill us in on why you are involved. Obviously, you got some key footage, but maybe you could just start with how it all came about for you.
Oh, sure. First of all, I just returned from the Kenosha courthouse where emotional Kyle Rittenhouse and his mother sobbed loudly enough to get the cameraman's attention to turn around and take photos. It was an emotional day in court, and my involvement in this whole movement, as you know, is all about bringing the most honest and independent raw journalism to the masses. It always has been with the stories I've written and the news I've covered. It doesn't mean that you have to agree with me. I just want to give you another perspective, because there's more than, one way to skin a cat, two ways or three ways. There's many different options and variety of solutions and versions of stories out there. So my story starts very simply. I got a link sent to me by a bunch of individuals shortly after Jacob Blake was shot, and it was the shooting of Jacob Blake. And I knew that this was going to be a big thing because George Floyd protests kind of had just simmered down. And I saw a fellow streamer, Corey Elijah, or actually I didn't see, I heard he was down there by somebody else involved in the Rundown Live, Mike, the Big P Zone, as you would know him from back in the day. And I headed on down there, and I decided to, wear my Cop Block shirt, as I used to be a writer for Cop Block. So I figured that would fit in well. And I went and I got the story. And that night I was there, and there was people destroying squad cars, jumping and dancing on them, wild, loud music, bricks being thrown. Law enforcement officer actually got hit by a brick and knocked out. And that video footage was so viral that the president of the United States saw it and actually mentioned it in his visit to Kenosha. And that's footage that I took. And it wasn't like I intentionally was looking for that. It just happened that I was in that location. I was the only person to have that shot. And the mainstream media was forced to once again recognize the Rundown Live as a legitimate news agency. As you know, we're all being attacked under the skies of Russian collusion and fake information, but the Durham trial is going on, and I'm wondering if we can have a class action lawsuit against these major, social media companies that wrongfully banned us under this ideology that there was Russian collusion.
Mm-hmm. Well, you ended up finding yourself in the right place at the right time and documenting precisely what needed to be documented, because at times Kyle Rittenhouse himself was in your very close proximity, and you even had conversations with them. Can you tell us about some of the things he told us? It looks like from the footage he mentions that he's a medic, and maybe you could describe the conversation that you had with him that they are now trying to somehow use against him. But we'll get to that. But tell us about the conversation you had with him.
Absolutely. So we'll fast forward. So anyways, protest starts at the law enforcement building. And then the next day, there's a major protest where thousands of people congregate, a lot of out-of-staters, people from Chapchaws and all around Wisconsin and Illinois, all come to Wisconsin. And, all hell breaks loose. Buildings get burned, light poles are torn down. People are rushed to the hospital because they've been hit by light poles. There's people throwing cherry bombs, industrial grade fireworks, slingshots, frozen water bottles. Police are shooting pepper balls, rubber bullets, tear gas. Bearcats are barreling through and around. And, that was Tuesday. And then there was a video that went viral of a gas station that had armed citizens protecting it, and they were able to prevent the gas station from being targeted or damaged or burnt down. And that brought a lot of attention. So I saw a post by a Kenosha guard in one of the Patriot forums I'm part of. Obviously, I've, breaking the Bundy Ranch story, amongst other things, I have an interest in, these underground movements because they're just interesting stories. Let's face it. No matter what you're covering, it's good to know where the future may head, because a lot of these individuals on the left and right are trendsetters. So I saw it and I thought that would be an interesting story, different from the last 2 days, which was much of the same thing of people throwing industrial grade fireworks at law enforcement and law enforcement, fending off protesters. So I headed down to Kenosha on August 25th, which I had the last 2 days. And that day I ended up covering the event, and I met Kyle Rittenhouse by 59th and Sheridan, car source there, amongst other individuals there. And I asked them, are you guys part of this Kenosha Guard? And I was curious if it was part of the infamous, American Guard, but nobody claimed to be part of that. It turns out the guy who created that ideology is actually sitting in court. He got into it with the assistant attorney there, the ADA, because he called him a failure, and he said he is a failure. And he said, you're a failure as a photographer. It's interesting because there's a lot of heat around this. So anyways, long story short, I captured probably the most extensive video coverage of the event. If you want to see that, that's at therundownlive.com. There's a article we published recently called The 7 Essential Videos by the Rundown Live, being most of them being used in this trial, to read and view and share. As you guys know, we've been censored, just like Dan. You've been majorly censored, man. I'm glad, because you're like me. We don't care for censored. We're not here because of the likes and the money. We're here because we actually want to spread the truth. We're passionate. We actually care about what we are doing and getting the proper information out there.
Exactly. And I'm so glad you were there to do just that. And now it seems like what we saw with that clip earlier, they're going to attempt to use some of that against you simply because you said to Kyle that, I don't want to put words in your mouth. I can't remember exactly, but it was like something to the effect of saying it's getting a little hairy out there. Like, be careful, and I think the prosecution is trying to use that as if to say, try to tell Kyle, how can you say, that you didn't know that you were running into hostile territory? People already told you about that. What are your thoughts on the prosecution's argument there?
Well, the prosecution obviously has very little to, work with. Otherwise, you would have seen the DA handle this. If this was an open and closed shut, case, the DA would have handled it and it would have been a victory. truth is, they didn't have much evidence to support the narrative that they are going after. Doesn't mean it didn't happen, just means they don't have the evidence to support it. And so I think that the assistant district attorney got it for that reason, because, there's elections and people have to be reelected. If the assistant district attorney does well, he gets a promotion. If he doesn't do well, the DA can be like, well, it wasn't me, it's the assistant district attorney, and, he's up for reelection. So you know how that goes. So I think that if this was an open and close, easy shut and closed case, that we would have seen the DA. And honestly, these assistant district attorneys got a very difficult case with very little information, and they're basically fueled by, leftist, I can't say leftist, I would say just like, influence. And I wouldn't say it's leftist influence. It's influenced probably by other agencies. I said leftist because, I recognize the FBI is kind of a leftist agency for the most part, how it goes. So, that's how I feel about it. And I've been there every day since, because I care about the trial. I've been tweeting, on Kristan T. Harris on Twitter, every day from the courtroom, bringing interesting information. Like, if Kyle Rittenhouse and the armed citizens are white nationalists or white supremacists, why were they protecting a building owned by obviously, minorities?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I know, there's so many news outlets that claim that he was a white supremacist who was going in there with ill intent to purposely kill people, should get their asses sued off of them, just like what happened with the mega hat kid at
Right.
the native rally there. Same kind of a situation. Now, as you said, you've been in there on the inside, listening, watching all these things unfold. What can you tell us about the moment when the prosecution seemed to have practically shot themselves in their own foot, when their own witness quite literally admitted that he advanced on Rittenhouse first? He had a gun pointed at him first before he got shot in the arm. It seemed like a boom, checkmate, boom, case closed kind of moment for us watching on the internet at home. What did you think when you heard, what is it, Groskraus? I'm not sure how to pronounce his name, Mr. Groskraus, who got shot in the arm, who said that? What are your thoughts?
Well, a couple things about Mr. Gage Grosskreutz. I think he was genuine in his idea of his medic group and starting something like that for the left, BLM, People's Revolution, which we know is funded by Rockefeller capitalism. Isn't that funny that capitalism is funding the communism? But that's just the way it always seems to go. But Gage Grosskreutz, I believe, made some mistakes. I think that he was overly confident when he went in there. And I will say that a lot of people attended the event in support of him, which is, important for some individuals. Maybe he overcompensated for that and seemed a little bit too cocky, kind of like that guy who brought the photographs and the additional information, was arguing with the assistant district attorney. I thought that guy seemed a little bit like he wanted attention, and it doesn't mean the evidence is bad. Not at all. And it should be included. I'm just saying people do things for different reasons. And I kind of sort of agreed with the, assistant district attorney there. But I think that it's very obvious that they don't have enough evidence to support this. That's why he's handling it, or they're handling it. And that's just my opinion. Maybe there's more evidence out there. The other thing that's hairy is that there's no evidence of this threat against Kyle Rittenhouse. You think with all the cameras, somebody would have caught the whole "I'm going to rip out your heart" and, the N-word and everything else that Rosenbaum shouted. I don't know if that's legitimate either, just like Ryan Balch has claimed that the law enforcement colluded with them. I repeatedly said throughout that night, why are the law enforcement pushing all the protesters right where all the armed citizens are when they have 360 degrees of options? Why is it that they're pushing them down that way? And then Ryan Balch said, oh yeah, they're sending them down our way so we can take care of them. What the hell does that mean? And it just, there's a lot of things that are really bizarre about this case. And, I have no evidence of Balsh's claims, but if they are, it would make a lot more sense. That doesn't mean that they're right. Doesn't mean that's how it is. I'm just saying that, like, there's something that just is not right about this case. And obviously, I think with the evidence were provided, Kyle Rittenhouse will definitely get something. I don't think he's going to get murder. I don't think he's going to get that. I think that all three accounts are going to be self-defense. And I think he's going to get probably possession of a weapon underage, wrongfully, probably parole, 5 years, maybe 6 months prison time. I don't know. We'll see.
What do you see the general vibe is around there? And do you think that the Black Lives Matter crowd is going to, get upset if it turns out that Kyle Rittenhouse gets completely off scot-free? What do you think the reaction will be if that does happen?
I've spent a lot of time around a lot of these individuals, and their opinions are about as colorful as they are on the right, where there's a lot of variations of opinions, meaning that some people probably are torn beside supporting somebody who was involved in rape and pedophilia, such as, was it Rosenbaum, and, and supporting, a female beater, somebody beats women, I believe allegedly. And, I think they're colorful. Like, there's a variety of opinions. I don't think it's going to be a fully united movement like what we saw for Jacob Blake, who was obviously and wrongfully shot, or George Floyd. This is a completely different issue. And I think that there's people that now, with the evidence, if they are paying attention, are not buying the mainstream media narrative. I sit every day and talk to the CNN guy, and I can't believe the way that some of these individuals are framing the story. I can't believe that they're trying to frame it and not going through all the slithering of all the testimonies by all these shifty individuals. And I'm not saying, like, I feel for people like Gage, even though, obviously we have different beliefs. But at the same time, being shifty and shady doesn't give you a lot of credibility. And it's sad, including the tweet where somebody posted that, if the only regret he had is that he didn't shoot Kyle Rittenhouse, all those kind of things. Like, there's just no consistency there. And I'm not saying Kyle Rittenhouse is consistent. I'm telling you that nobody made a good decision today, and we're here to decide whether or not that was a violation of the law. Doesn't mean we have to endorse them. Doesn't mean that they are right. That means that they may have made bad decisions, and they might have been illegal, or it might have been self-defense. That's what the real discussion is about in Kenosha.
And how much longer do you think is this discussion going to continue? And do you have a feeling they may be calling you up as a witness once again?
It's very possible. I could see the defense calling me up as a witness, because I spent most likely the most time with Kyle Rittenhouse out of any individual that was not involved in this ad hoc militia or armed citizens, or whatever definition you guys want to use out there for this situation. It's a possibility that they might, just because I noticed that today the assistant district attorney used some statements that I made into my report with the FBI when they interviewed me on the situation. That being, like, it seemed like he was ready to play Call of Duty, much like when you play football with your friends after you watch your favorite football team, or you watch Ninja Turtles as a kid and you got sticks and you sword fighted. That's kind of the intent. I didn't think he was there to hunt people, but what I felt like he was eager to participate, like watching your favorite baseball team win and wanting to go out and play baseball. That's the opinion, and that's a feeling I received from him, and that wasn't dishonest. And like, people like Balsh and some of those guys who are saying get in positions, and you know how it is. The more precarious you are, the more you're out there and you put yourself out there, the more attention you're going to draw. If all these guys just wore regular clothes and had guns on their side that were handguns, the odds are nothing would have really accumulated that night. It just seemed like they were all dressed for war and to be noticed. There's a lot of bad decisions, but we're experienced, right, Dan? We've been to these things.
Yeah, exactly. And you can sometimes when you go to these things, you have to be rolling at all times. And in this particular case, I think the footage, for the most part, speaks for itself. So I hope that they will be able to examine this properly and see, as I see it, is that he was acting in self-defense. It seems to me that he was kind of forced to be, he was running, and being chased and had at sometimes weapons literally pointing at him. People, hitting him with skateboards. Another guy trying to kick him in the head. He could have been stomped on. He could have been beaten with the skateboard. He could have been shot, and he had to act in self-defense. Do you see it similarly, or is there anything I'm missing?
Well, the thing is nobody made good decisions. Like I see it like you see it. I see that I don't believe there's enough evidence to convict him of murder. But again, have we seen all the evidence? Is there going to be a big twist on the end? And, that's what we talk about in the Rundown Live Daily, on KGRA, is all these opportunities, all these different things that could happen. I think that what we're going to see is him being exonerated. I don't know how Kenosha is going to handle that. It depends how the media handles it, because let's be honest, it's the media who propagates and causes a lot of the social engineering and issues we have today, including January 6th. That was the whole idea of this, QAnon came because they banned all us. Like, there's no gatekeepers anymore. And people are like, well, we don't need the mainstream media. We'll get our news from some crap forum in New Zealand, right? So the real answer is we need to be reinstated, have the same options as the privileged media, because that's what they are. They are privileged, right? And they like to use that word all the time because they're able to navigate the dangerous algorithms and get the reach. While we don't, we might have freedom of speech, Dan, but we really don't have freedom of reach. That's the truth. So.
Yeah. Well, I know people are hungry for that truth. And if they want to watch from you, I'm sure you're probably going to continue with the, live tweeting from the court and covering this case as it continues to unfold. So where's the best place for people to go if they want to keep up to date with you as you're there on the grounds covering it in real time?
Well, first of all, I have a show 5 days a week called The Rundown Live, obviously, and you guys can catch that. We have free apps. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, anywhere podcasts are found. Just look up The Rundown Live or KGRA Digital Broadcasting. But the best place is therundownlive.com or by Twitter, Kristan T. Harris, just like it's spelt. If you don't know how to spell it, go to therundownlive.com. We have a store if you want to support me. Obviously, I've put my life at risk multiple times as a witness to the shootings, 100 feet in front of me. You want to support me, you can find that on the rundownlive.store or just go to therundownlive.com, or you can search for us on Rockfin, ROKFIN.com/The Rundown Live, which is a great new platform where a lot of us independent journalists have run to. So, Dan Dix, I have to say it's been an honor. It's been a long time coming for me to join you on Press for Truth, and it's really cool being here because I remember watching you report and calling you, and you were at Bilderberg, and we'd have you on the Rundown Live. Those are some of my favorite memories, especially hanging out with you at Bilderberg in 2017. We had some good Apple times. I hope everything's going good by you, and I hope that you guys are fighting hard in Canada, because I see that you guys are at the tip of the battle. You guys have it the worst in Canada. You're losing all your freedoms, and people are just sitting down and they're taking it and they're okay with it. Like, some people are angry, don't get me wrong, but we need to be there every day. It's sad that the UK is beating us all and getting their freedoms back because they're outside media companies every day and people are afraid to work. And I'm not saying threatening people. I'm saying if you want change and you want to keep your future and you want to fight globalism and you want to still be an individual that's not like everybody else in a collectivist with a social credit score and has some AI city that directs everything they do from what they eat, and they have a little toilet that reads your crap so they know that you're taking their prescribed drugs. It's just crazy. I'm just telling you, the world is crazy. And Dan Dix, the world needs you, and I'm glad you didn't quit like so many of our colleagues did. It's so sad to see all these individuals that were making a difference throw their hands up and just be like, I'm checking out. It's time to get out.
Yeah, I know, man. I know. I've seen so many come and go over the years, and yeah, full disclosure, I've been on your show many, many times over the years. We broke bread with one another. We've hung out. We've had dinners multiple times, multiple Bilderbergs. Good times, and we need more people like you to stay in the fight, keep this going for the long haul. I'm sure, like you, I eat, sleep, and breathe Press for Truth, and I'm sure you do the same with Rundown Live and all the other ventures you're involved with. So I want to encourage people to check out all those links. They will be located in the description below, especially if you want to keep up to date with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, as he is a key witness there and maybe taking the stand again. So pay attention to the links in the description below. And once again, man, Kristan, you keep up the great work.
Thanks again, Dix. It's an honor to be on the program with you, and have a good one. We'll talk to you soon. All right. I'll keep you posted.
Cool. Take care.
We all want truth. The truth will set you free.